That one.
Okay, I'd like to call the special meeting of the Ramapo Town Board to order. It's April 29, 2009 at 5 p.m., and I'd like to ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilman Stein.
Here.
Councilman Ullman.
Here.
Councilman Friedman.
Here.
Deputy Supervisor Hunter.
Here.
Supervisor St. Lawrence.
Here. We have a quorum, and I'd like to ask Councilman Stein to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to go right to item under new business, the appointment of the Board of Assessment Review member. Moved by?
Ullman.
Councilman Ullman. Seconded by Councilman Stein. Any questions?
Yes.
Councilman Friedman.
I know Mr. Salvman. He is the president of my condo association. Am I in any sort of conflict of interest?
No.
As long as he doesn't raise your assessment on you.
No, Scott mentioned the same thing. I just wanted to make sure. I am not.
No, that's not a conflict.
Okay.
I should point out to the board, I did speak with Mr. Sauerman today. He looks forward to serving on the board. He is a longtime community member. He's been had contact with Scott and I guess other members for quite a number of years. He was most concerned about the possibility of some years ago of the state increasing the assessments for the condominiums. So he seems quite knowledgeable, and I think he'll be an energetic board member.
Great, and he'll be replacing our board member from Suffering, which would keep that geographic balance. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you, Scott. We'll go up now to the number one on the agenda, which is the acceptance of the draft environmental impact statement, the DEIS for Patrick Farms as complete, and setting a public hearing date to receive comments on the DEIS. Council?
Yes, the board has received a memorandum from the town's planning consultant, John Lang of Frederick B. Clark Associates. He has reviewed the DEIS as filed with the town, and he's had comments on an ongoing basis with the applicant. And it is his recommendation to the board that the DEIS may be accepted as complete. This simply means that the formal requirements of the content of the DEIS have been satisfied, and it's now ripe for further review and public comment. After that public comment period, both by hearing and by written submissions, then the applicant will then have to prepare an FEIS. So this is another step in a rather longer road. So accepting the document as complete is not an endorsement of the document in terms of its content. It's merely a technical requirement under SECA that the applicant has complied with the requirements of the scoping session, has responded to those issues which have been raised.
Council, we had a scoping session in this very room on this application in, I believe, August of '08, correct?
I think that's correct.
So this is now, all of the things that were in the scoping session, according to John Lang, have been addressed to make this complete, and then this will be the next step before the final.
Okay.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Councilman Friedman.
Based on the comments of our town attorney, in view of the fact that this is not an endorsement of the DEIS, but just a formal resolution accepting it as completed without any opinion as to its impact by this town board, I will move that.
Moved by Councilman Friedman, seconded by Councilman Ullman. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries
I just
unanimously.
have one comment.
Sure.
Although I wasn't present by the scoping session, I was brought up to date pretty much on everything that was discussed by that session, and I feel comfortable with my vote.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item is item number 2, scheduling of a public hearing to amend the Town of Ramapo's comprehensive plan.
Now, if the board remembers, the petition which came to the town board by Scenic Development regarding the property known as Patrick Farm, the proposal is to amend a center portion of that property to MR8, while the periphery of the property would remain R40. In order for that to happen, in addition to the DIS, which the board already voted as complete, we do have to consider an amendment to the comprehensive plan, because the comprehensive plan refers to the area in an R40 type development stage. So this is related to that same petition. So this resolution will schedule a public hearing to receive public comment on the virtues of amending the comprehensive plan as it will be pursuant to the petition submitted by Scenic Development.
Do you have a date in mind that will meet all the timelines for any other comments that may need to come from other parties?
Yes, we're recommending that the board hold 2 separate public hearings, one on June 4th and one on June 8th. So that would be, I believe it's a Thursday and then a Monday, both in the evenings, and we have no way to predict how much public input there will be, so we're proposing that the hearing be held at the Joseph T. St. Lawrence Center to accommodate the possibility of a large crowd.
Okay, so when you notice it, you'll notice both dates in the publication?
That's correct.
Why, again, I understand the scheduling at the St. Lawrence Center in anticipation of a potential large crowd. Why the need for 2 separate dates?
That's what town law requires.
Okay.
Okay, and of course, the hearings can be adjourned, or if based on the degree of input and what else the board wishes to do in the future, we can, extend the hearing. But those are the 2 dates that we think are minimally required.
Okay. Councilman Stein.
Well, in that we're scheduling these 2 hearings at the Saint Center in anticipation of potentially a large audience and 2 potentially lengthy meetings, I'm going to respectfully suggest consideration to changing either today under new business or at the next town board meeting. That Monday, June 8th, would be a normal 8 o'clock workshop. And under the circumstances, since we're doing this at the Saint Center, because of the potential crowd and time frame needed, I'm going to suggest that we consider moving the workshop from 8 o'clock on Monday night to 6 o'clock on Wednesday, June 10th, keeping the regular town board meeting at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, June 10th, which we've done any number of times for holidays or other occasions. This seems like an appropriate time. I don't want to
I think we should do that under new business after we vote on this. I think
I'm bringing it up now because we're discussing it now. and
Councilman Stein's point is well taken. And maybe it should be under new business, but...
Well, after we vote on this.
Yeah.
I have one other issue. I'm not sure if it comes up under number 2 or number 3, and that is if we're going to consider one of these amendments, or both amendments, or the series of amendments, when is the appropriate time, or which is the appropriate resolution to address the potential deletion of adult student housing?
You mean as a condition of approval? I guess I'm not quite sure of the question,
Yes.
Councilman Stein.
The answer to your question is yes.
If the question is sometime during the process of considering the zone change comprehensive plan and the environmental study that's related to those, if the board were to approve the petition for an amendment to the zoning law at some point in time, you can then add conditions to that approval. So that would be at a later date, not for purposes of scheduling a hearing to consider this.
I understand not scheduling the hearing, but, okay.
If the board, if Councilman Stein wished to raise that question about adult student housing during the hearing process, you can certainly do so. But if the board was thinking of that as a condition of approval of a zone change, that would be certainly later on.
Okay. I'm not recommending anything at this time. I'm just questioning as part and parcel of which of these resolutions, or both of them, 2 and 3, would that be appropriate? And the answer is during the course of the public hearing.
Correct.
Okay.
Councilman Stein's point again is well taken. If I recall,
What is he agreeing with?
early on in the, when we adopted the adult student housing law, there were 4 sites basically approved throughout the town. One of them was the Patrick Farm. And if memory serves me correctly, I believe that the potential developer, Scenic Properties, indicated early on that they would not be contemplating adult student housing. So regardless of when the proper time is for eliminating that site as adult student housing, it should be taken under consideration.
Yeah, I just make one correction to that. When the town adopted what's been commonly referred to now as the adult student housing law, it didn't assign that use to any particular properties. It simply added that as another permitted use in certain zones.
Yeah.
And it turns out that there are only 4 sites that would theoretically meet all the criteria necessary to have that.
And
So
what was the Patrick
it's
Farm?
well, Patrick Farm, it's a 200-acre site, so you can
Okay.
theoretically fit almost anything on that site. So no particular property was rezoned to adult student housing. It was simply added as one of any number of potential uses, and there are only 4 sites that would meet all those criteria.
Okay. Moved by
Stein.
Councilman Stein, seconded by
Hunter.
Deputy Supervisor Hunter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously. Let's go right away and have a new business item of moving the June 8th meeting to June 10th at 6 p.m. will be the workshop, and at 8 p.m. will be the regular meeting. Correct? Moved by Councilman Stein.
I would move that.
Seconded by...
Why would you do a thing like that, David?
Seconded by Councilman Ullman. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, carries unanimously. Council?
Item 3 on the agenda is scheduling the public hearing. This is for the proposed amendment to the zoning law, which would change a 60-acre roughly parcel in the center portion of the Patrick Farm property from R40 to MR8. And again, this is obviously related to the prior 2 resolutions, which the board has already adopted.
And the date is on that is June 4th?
That's correct.
Oh, it's
Okay.
June 4th?
So could you just explain to me how
Moved
many...
by-
I'm sorry, I'm
Oh,
still
yeah.
confused. How many public hearings are there?
We're
22.
scheduling
That's what it looks like. I'm
We're
really confused.
scheduling 3 public hearings. They're separate public hearings, but it will be my recommendation that we essentially hold them concurrently because the issues are so
They're
interrelated.
Right.
And we have noticed them for 8 o'clock, 8:01, 8:02 to distinguish that they are 3 separate hearings, but they will be conducted simultaneously unless the board chose otherwise.
Okay.
Okay.
8:01, that means each public hearing will last a minute, is that correct?
I'm sure that's all the public comment that we'll have.
Councilman Stein.
In that none of these resolutions reflects that we're adopting any portion of this project, but merely scheduling and setting up the hearings, I would move number 3.
Okay, moved by Councilman Stein, seconded by
Second.
Councilman Freeman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously. Item 4 is the purchase of Section 39.18-11 and Sections 39.19173, it looks like. And this is for a secret determination. This is the property that is at the base of the Torn Mountain along Torn Farm Roads,
This is the Hamlets in Ramapo?
the Hamlets area.
Now, as a precondition to any formal adoption of a contract of sale, or certainly closing, it's incumbent upon the town board to conduct a seeker review. We've had a Phase 1 environmental study completed by Greater Hudson Valley Engineering, and as a consequence of that, our planning consultant has prepared a short-form environmental assessment form indicating that there are no negative environmental impacts that would result from the board's action of ultimately purchasing the property. So this resolution simply adopts a negative declaration under SECA as a precondition to the purchase.
It's not the purchase.
This is not the purchase.
No, this is just the
precondition to the
seeker.
purchase.
That's correct.
Okay, moved by
Hunter.
Deputy Supervisor Hunter, seconded by
Stein,
Councilman
so
Stein.
long as you correct John Lang's spelling of his name,
Of his own name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
what's
delete-
you in here?
delete the U.
Oh,
What's this
Councilwoman
you?
Hunter was slipping up on the job.
That's right. I just received this today.
Ah, that's...
I think that's Alan Berman's fault. He usually writes
Why not?
the...
Alan's not here today.
He
Let's
just
be
wanted to see
clear.
if we were paying attention.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously. Under new business, 5A is acceptance of the proposal for our bond council.
Okay.
Yes,
Moved by
I'll move that for discussion
Councilman
purposes.
Friedman, seconded by
Stein.
Councilman Stein. Councilman Friedman.
I have no trouble with this new bond counsel. One of the principals in this new firm has been dealing with the town for several years in terms of financial matters and bond counsel. What are the rates that they are charging relative to the rates of Holland and Knight for the same services?
The same rates as was charged previously.
Okay?
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously. And 5B, it's the setting of a public hearing date for the Phase 2 stormwater regulations.
Okay, Mr. Supervisor, before we get there, if the board wishes, there were, when 5A was distributed to the board, there were two separate backup memoranda from Mr. West's firm. One was for bond counsel, one was for special counsel on an as-needed basis for other work. For whatever reason, there was only one resolution prepared for the special counsel for the general work rather than the bond counsel resolution. So the board has already voted on the bond counsel, which you've had for a considerable period of time. If the board wishes, we can also adopt the second resolution, which uses the firm on an as-needed basis for other work, which would constitute a conflict with the town attorney's office
So
representing.
this resolution will be very generic. It doesn't talk about
Yes,
dollars.
and the backup, basically, to summarize, simply continues Mr. West's current arrangement with the town, but now with a new firm. Paralegals are charging $125 an hour, associates $245 an hour, and senior partners, senior counsels, $345 an hour. So that would be the second resolution if the board is
Moved by
inclined to adopt
Councilman
that.
Friedman,
I'll move that.
seconded by
Stein.
Councilman Stein. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously. Now we'll go to 5B, the setting of a public hearing date for Phase 2 stormwater regulations. Councilman Stein.
Well, let's go back for a second. So the second resolution would be 5A2,
5A1.
5A1.
5A, 5A1.
5A and 5A1.
I went through this already.
Obviously.
Town attorney's not talking to me right now, so.
Okay.
Okay. 5B.
And the answer is yes. I would move 5B.
Moved by Councilman Stein. We didn't set a date for this. Do we have a date on this?
Yes,
May
it's
11th, May 11th
Okay.
at 8 p.m.
That's a regular town board meeting.
Okay, moved by Councilman Stein, seconded
Second.
by Councilman Friedman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries unanimously. Motion to adjourn.
We have one more.
Oh, all right, try.
Sorry.
Try.
I didn't see, what else do we have, Michael?
I think Michelle has 5C, which is the oh, no, I'm sorry, we did 5C. I apologize.
see, we tripped.
You're right.
Yeah. Okay, motion to adjourn
Motion.
by Councilman Stein, second by Councilman Friedman. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, carries unanimously. Thank you very much, and thank you, council.
Public participation.